I think I went live before I intended to here. So what's going on, everybody? There's going to be like a 10-second delay on the chat, and on the live stream. So we'll do our best here. I'm going to go ahead and post this link out to Twitter, which I think you guys can see here. Let me know if you have any issues. The chat's kind of flying here. The beard is really out of control. Quarantine beard. That's why I'm wearing a hat too. Thank you for the super chat. I'm probably gonna not be able to respond to those very well because I'm probably gonna have my attention elsewhere for earnings. But I'll try to get to them later if I can find them later on. All right. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Seems like you guys can hear me. Audio is mono. Audio's not equalized. Sorry about that, guys. I don't really know how to fix that on the fly here. So we may just have to deal with the audio being mono. Yeah, bear with me, guys. I'm trying to figure out the audio. First live stream, so we're gonna have some problems, but we'll get it figured out over time. At least we got the stock price up there, right? If anybody has OBS and knows how to fix the mono audio thing, let me know. That's what I'm using to stream. I did just change something, so maybe that helped. Chat is so out of control. Echo now. Alright, let me fix that. Alright, it'll take a second, but I think that'll fix the echo at least. I appreciate you guys helping with this. Audio's right channel only. Yeah, I know, I just don't know how to fix that exactly. At least we got video. Okay, better. Awesome. So that's fixed at least. Fixed the error that I created for myself. Not bad. We got 3 minutes here to still try and figure some of this out. Now it's perfect. OBS settings, audio channel stereo. OBS settings, audio. I don't see channels. Oh, change to mono. Program must be restarted for these to take effect. No! Oh, that seems like a risky move. Ugh, I don't think I want to try and restart things here with 2 minutes left. What do you guys think? Let's see. We might lose it here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. We'll just have to deal with it. Hopefully you can unplug your headphones and maybe that'll make things less apparent if it's single track. We'll get that fixed for next time though. Appreciate you guys. All right, so let's see. I've got my Excel stuff set up here. Let's see if this is working. Oh, that's not what I want. All right, there we go. All right. I'm sure this is really interesting for you guys, but figuring this all out. I'm hoping the after hours thing pops up there for the share price. How many people we got going in the live stream right now? I don't have it up. A couple thousand, it looks like. Pretty cool. All right, final minute here. I'm gonna queue up a tweet and let's hope. Let's hope that comes to fruition and I can tweet it out here. That's sort of my process. You guys can see, prep stuff ahead of time. Let's see what's going on Tesla Twitter. Last time the report came in at about 9 minutes after 3. So we'll see here. It may be a little bit still. Again, if you did super chat, sorry, I just can't really follow all of that while I'm multitasking here, but I'll try to get to them afterward. I do appreciate it. I think this is the best page for me to be at. All right, looks like that after hours did pop up there for the stock. That's good. Oh, no unspoken competition between Gally and me. Full on competition. No, I'm just kidding. Gally's awesome. I feel kind of bad doing a live stream because I know he's doing one too. Maybe we can combine in the future. This was just kind of a spur of the moment thing I wanted to do here, so we'll see. But yeah, Gally's awesome. Maybe you guys can put him in the right audio channel. Dual audio. How long until it's out? Last time it was like 9 minutes after close. We'll see. And again, my stream is going to be a little bit delayed, so you guys might see it before me. And then my plan here is to put these into Excel and we can compare how the results came in versus my forecasts. Gally has 2 channels. Edit advanced audio properties down mix mono. Let's see if that works. Yeah, Gally's more of a pro at this than I am. Yeah, all right, well, it's not working. We'll get it fixed for next time. A little Tesla bingo card there on Tesla Twitter. Drinking game. I'm not going to participate in that. That's just water. Fun fact about me, I don't drink coffee. Happy birthday, Adam. Stock doesn't seem to be moving too much here. Oops. Not a coffee hater, just don't drink it personally. Saving it for until I have kids, and then I'll probably start drinking coffee. Alright, 4 minutes in. Maybe we got like 5 minutes left. They'll probably make us wait like half an hour. What time is earnings? The letter should be any time. The call's at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, which I thought was actually earlier than Tesla usually does it. In the past, it's been 3:30 Pacific time, but I actually looked back at this when I was doing some podcast research, and in prior quarters, they have actually had this call at this time. So I was all excited because Elon had that tweet about lots to talk about at earnings. And then I was kind of combining that with the fact that it would be an hour early, but they have had these the same timing before, so. A wise investment is not having kids. Yeah, I suppose. Save some money. Life's not all about money, though. It's all about YouTube live streaming and Twitter. Rob, what Tesla will you buy? I still have my original Model 3 reservation from, what was that, 2016? March of 2016. So that reservation is 4.5 years old. I guess that is my kid for now. I also have an order for a Cybertruck in. I know the audio's messed up, I'm sorry. I do like the Model Y. I would be super happy with any Tesla vehicle, honestly. I just don't drive enough to make it worth it. What are we looking for in terms of earnings? So I think the street consensus is for a small loss, but the whisper numbers, Barron's had an article yesterday saying that the whisper number was an earnings per share, GAAP earnings per share of 50 to 75 cents, which is just below where I had forecast. Thanks for the super chat, Ben, and congrats on the girls. Holding any options in earnings. Most of my position is stock. I'm a long-term investor, but since I do this, sort of full time, I do trade a little bit to try to accumulate more shares. So I do have some options, various expirations, July, October. I think October might be the farthest out one. A couple reasons for that, both to have the chance at holding the option through battery day, but also because the fact that battery day exists around that period of time should help the implied volatility of the options be higher. So with that, the time premium should be more significant on those options. That's sort of my theory. So even if the stock were to fall, at least there's still that expectation that battery day could cause some major rise, and that's going to help the premiums. How many shares do you have? More than one and less than Elon. And not enough. All right, should be any minute now. going on last quarter, which who knows. I'm not going to live stream for the call, obviously. That wouldn't make much sense. I'll probably do some tweets and then be working on my recap episode here too. It won't just be the live stream. I just think this is kind of fun. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. Well, let me know afterward too how it goes, and we can adjust for next time. Nothing yet. The critical chats are funny. What do I think of NIO? They have negative gross margins on their vehicles, and I believe they don't actually manufacture them themselves. So both of those things are kind of non-starters for me. Not necessarily just the margin factor, but not manufacturing your own vehicles is rough. And to have a negative gross margin on the vehicle, obviously then after you include operating expenses, it's going to be pretty tough. Thanks for the super chat, Bradford. You've been super supportive, and for a long time now, and I really appreciate that. All you guys have, honestly. It's been kind of mind-blowing. If you're joining late, yeah, I know the audio is only in one side. I'm sorry. I can't fix it during the live broadcast, but we'll get it fixed for next time. I gotta remember to not forget about my tweet there once this comes out. It's always a frenzy trying to hone in on the most important information right away, but I'm not doing any trading, so it doesn't really matter too much. I'd like to get like an article out sort of right away, but opted for the live stream instead this time. How late is the stream? I don't know. It might be, I think YouTube says 10 to 20 seconds, and that's not anything I can control on my end. It's just what it is. Do I think there will be a stock split? Yes, I'm going to do an episode on stock splits at some point here. It's been in my notes for a while. Keeps getting pushed because of S&P 500 stuff, which has been kind of an intense deep dive. Hopefully you guys have seen those videos. Completely agree with these GIFs on Twitter. Do you guys say GIFs or GIFs? I always say GIF. GIF is a peanut butter to me. Sorry, I won't hum anymore. It's probably really annoying. I feel like I should do a poll on this. It seems like most people are doing GIF with a G. Like that. All right, 13 minutes. Well, we're a little bit later than last quarter now. Would I buy Tesla on margin? I have bought Tesla on margin, but everyone needs to make that decision for themselves. And if you guys remember, I got margin called last year. Not fun. Thankfully, recovered well from that. GIF with an R. When will they enter the S&P 500? It could be sort of any time. I would expect that the S&P 500 has already sort of had their discussions on Tesla, especially with the recent stock price rise over the last, 3 to 6 months. It's definitely on their radar. So I would think it would happen pretty quickly if Tesla posts a profit, maybe within a couple weeks. But we have seen cases in the past where it could take even 8 weeks or so. But again, I would expect that there would be buying ahead of time. $5,000 viewers. That's awesome. All right, let's see. I don't know if anyone's commented on my background yet, but that's just a blanket back here. Held up on a mic stand. The reason for that is to try to help the audio, not as much reverb versus the wall. I need someone to build a script for me to refresh this page. A little bump in the share price, something out? Nope. Oop, looks like something's out here. Why is it not on the page? That's not it. Alright, Twitter, don't let me down. Stock's flying, up 5%. Guessing we posted a profit. 1,700. Really struggling here, guys. Quite the live stream. Can't even get the report up. Second quarter EPS. I'm seeing 50 cents here on Twitter. Still not seeing any links to the report though. Stock's up about 4% now. Is that just a head fake or what? Something has to have gone on. Someone said Gally can't find it either. I don't know. Access denied. No. Tesla shutting me down. Awesome. Twitter not even loading. Clear your cache. Ugh. Well, guys, this is unfortunate. I don't know why things are down here. There we go. Is it really still not out? Not out yet. Wow. Interesting. Let's see what VA's got going on here. All right, looks like here we are at $104 million GAAP net income. This is on ir.tesla.com, so we're not looking at a fake here. Excellent. I can go ahead and post my tweet that got deleted. Sorry. $1 million GAAP profit. Let's just double check that. $104 million GAAP net income. Awesome. Looks like I was relatively close. All right, let's go through the note here, guys. $535 million increase. It looks like I was way off on free cash flow. Operating cash flow, less cap expense, $418 million. $327 million GAAP operating income. I was at $375, so very close. $104 million GAAP net income. $450 excluding stock-based compensation. Very, very close on that. 4 quarters of sequential profitability. Very exciting. US Gigafactory site selected. We'll see if they say anything more about that. Scanning here. Trailing 12 months, our GAAP profit reached. We believe the progress we made in the first half has positioned us for a successful second half. Production output continues to improve to meet demand. We are adding more capacity. Okay. All right, regulatory credits. Whew, $428 million. Okay, well, that certainly helps. Let's look at automotive gross margin X credits here then, because these all look relatively close for my forecast. Looks like I was kind of just off on cash flow, but everything else looks pretty close here. How's the stock doing? 16.28. I guess that 50 cents was the right expectation. All right, let's look at Outlook quick here before we get to the... So we have installed excess vehicle capacity, 500,000 deliveries this year. It remains our target. Okay, so sort of halfway into updating guidance, but is a stronger statement than what they made in the Q1 letter. So that's really encouraging to see. Still remains difficult to predict whether there will be further operation interruptions. Cash flow, we should have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap, aka not necessarily any cash raise. Continuing to build out capacity at Model Y at Gigafactory Berlin and Shanghai. The next factory site has been selected and preparations are underway. Tesla Semi's deliveries will begin in 2021. Okay, so we'll learn a little bit more about that on the call. Hopefully that's the top question on say. Let's look a little bit more at the financials here. And then we'll compare with the spreadsheet, but I just want to kind of look through this. All right, so SG&A definitely was a bit higher than what I had. I think R&D was pretty close, but operating expenses were higher than what I had forecast. I had selling general and administrative costs coming down quarter over quarter. Cash, that'll take me some time to dig through. All right, automotive gross margin excluding regulatory credits, 18.7. So that's higher than the street consensus of 17.3%, but that was lower than my forecast of 20.6%. So hopefully they'll address that a little bit more on the call. What I'm looking for is the variance between the margin improvement from Model Y and from Gigafactory Shanghai and the ramps progressing there versus the detrimental margin impact from shutting down operations and then having to restart and not being at full speed in terms of production capacity. So, all right, so first initial scan there. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything here in the summary. Stocks at 1650. I'm a bit surprised it's not up more, but sometimes these reactions take a long time to, I don't know, play their way out in the market. So generally I assume it takes, a week or two for the market to fully understand what's going on. I think because the beat was driven by so much in regulatory credits, the market's not going to love that, but it does also signal that these are likely to be recurring. I mean, if Tesla's doing $428 million in regulatory credits in Q2, when Fiat Chrysler's sales in Europe were obviously down year over year for the quarter, and probably sequentially from Q1, though I haven't necessarily looked at that, I think that bodes really well for the credit outlook, which obviously isn't the most important aspect of the business, but still comes into play when we think about the numbers for Q3 and Q4. And if we're getting $500 million in regulatory credit revenue in those quarters, I mean, honestly, we could see a quarter that prints $1 billion in GAAP net income. I mean, we're already at almost $500 million here non-GAAP, although obviously most of that is driven by the regulatory credits. But even if we take those out, subtracting the $428 million of regulatory credits from the $451 million of non-GAAP net income, then we still have a profit, a non-GAAP profit excluding regulatory credits, which is pretty exciting given the obvious difficulties that they had this quarter. So CapEx was a little bit higher. Cash used in operations was a bit higher. I'm guessing inventory drawdown was just a little bit lower than what I expected. There could be more parts in process due to the ramp ups of production towards the end of the quarter than what I had forecast. All right, so revenue, Q2 revenues remained relatively flat quarter over quarter. Positive impact of higher vehicle deliveries, higher regulatory credit, and higher energy generation and storage revenue was somewhat offset. So, okay, looks like I'm curious to see the energy generation because I had forecast that down. Okay, so total deliveries actually came in like 300 vehicles almost higher, 240 vehicles higher than what they had reported earlier. That helps. Energy business. Let's see. All right, so energy generation and storage, 370 million. Services and other down to 487. All right, so I think I've hopefully isolated on the most important stuff here. Let's see what they say in terms of Shanghai and Berlin. Usually they give an update there. Autopilot, vehicle software, battery and powertrain. Storage deployments increased to 419 megawatt hours. It's almost double what I had forecast, so really nice to see that. Okay. Unless I'm missing it, I don't see a specific Shanghai. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's see. So current installed capacity, 690,000. That is the same as last quarter. They reiterate that that capacity will extend to 500,000 in 2020, which would put us at 790,000 total installed capacity. Assuming Shanghai does not ramp up, I've seen some rumors. I think Troy TSLA was reporting that Model Y production in Shanghai was targeted for November. So we could see both this Model 3 capacity increase and the Model Y capacity come online, hopefully. So that'd be exciting. So they're just reiterating that, expanding the capacity. We exited Q2 with Model Y production running at installed capacity, and they're expanding that now. So that could be somewhere around 100,000 annually, which I suppose would be a couple thousand a week. Seems pretty reasonable. But it does seem that that's eating into Model 3 production, at least at this time. All right, so Shanghai reduced operating costs and industry standard equipment, construction for Model Y lines in the Gigafactory Shanghai, progressing as planned with first deliveries expected in 2021. Okay, so maybe production starting before that. And then Germany, continuing to improve. Okay, so no major update there. All right, so for those of you that are still sticking around, I'm not even sure, could just be talking to myself at this point. But let's go through and fill in, and this will take me a bit of time, but let's fill in this Excel sheet. So we'll flip over there, and let's see. I'm flipping back and forth here, but you guys can't see it. Okay, so total deliveries, 90,891. Variance for my forecast, 0.2%. Automotive sales, 5179. So we're 1% off. Would like these to be more decimal points. That's annoying. Live stream problems. Okay, so regulatory credits, we know that was 428 million. So 43% higher than my forecast there. Energy revenue. Let's see what that was. All right, 370. Yeah, so quite a bit higher there. 66% beat on my number. Services was 487. So in total, thought that was a sum. Guess not. We'll just hard key it. So we did have a revenue beat due to energy and solar and services and other, but relatively close with my automotive forecast, although I was definitely higher on average selling prices and lower on regulatory credit sales. So we'll adjust for that going forward. Automotive profit. Let's see. I don't know if that's broken out or if I have to calc that. Yep, automotive gross profit. Oh man, so close. 13. Is that really that different? Again, it's not as close as it looks because of the regulatory credit revenue being quite a bit higher. So margins were definitely a little bit lower, but again, we'll just have to come back to, and hopefully they give us a little bit more information on that on the call. Energy profit, that I do think I have to calc here. All right, so we had revenue of 370, cost of 349. So, all right, love that. Right on. Services and other 558. Ooh, interesting. Did they post a profit in services? 558. No, 47. Okay. 47. All right. So just a less of a loss. Sorry. Confusing myself here. That variance is a little weird. And then total profit, 1267. So pretty close to what I had. Automotive gross margin. Kind of have to hop around in Tesla's spreadsheet here to get these. 25.4. Pretty close. Oops. I don't know, maybe it's not worth going through all this with you guys, so I'll probably wrap it up after this with a few more comments. If you guys want to hop off and not listen to me fill out my spreadsheet, that's totally your choice. Stock's at 1,700 now. Nice. Automotive gross margin X credits. All right, so I'm just gonna hard key this one. Well, actually, let's just find it so I don't make a mistake here. All right, so 18.7%. Probably the biggest miss on my forecast right there, unfortunately, as that was one I was watching super closely. Energy and services, we'll just calc here. And then our total gross margin, we can also just calc that. $21%. Is that right? Oh, that's EBIT margin. All right, we'll assume that's right, but we'll double check it later. R&D. Let's see where we came in, 279. So under what I'd forecast. SG&A, so this was again the big piece. Hopefully they talk about that on the call. I was expecting that to be down, but it was up actually about 35 million quarter over quarter, 22% higher than my forecast. So total operating expenses. Make sure there's no restructuring or others here. There were not, so we're at 940. About 100 million higher than I had forecast. Operating income. So that's 327 million. Pretty close, but some of the variables driving that off. And I think operating margin was 5.4% if I remember correctly. Yep. All right, EBITDA. Let's see. I think I was pretty close on that one. EBITDA non-GAAP, 1209. Wow. Love it. Non-GAAP net income. Where did I see that at? My least favorite part is looking for the numbers. Pretty close. GAAP net income, so we remember that was 104. EPS non-GAAP, so we're at 50 cents per share. Oh, wrong column there. So that was 28 cents over, but not bad. And then the non-GAAP, where were we at? 218. Pretty darn close. Well, I'm happy with those forecasts for sure. Free cash flow, that's a tough one. I know we're in the 400 million range here. Let's see. Sorry, nervous tick. 418 million. Whew, way off. Definitely my biggest miss of the forecast there. Regulatory credit sales as well. But overall, really happy with these forecasts. Oh, sorry, you guys probably can't see that. I needed to scroll up here. Apologize for that. My bad. Okay, so in these bottom ones, pretty close. Trying to get this centered here. Pretty close. Obviously, free cash flow. We'll have to dig into probably the 10Q on that to get a little bit more information. But again, I'm guessing they probably just had more inventory than what I expected. But there are probably accounts payable and accounts receivables things there too. That's a tough one. I'm still learning how to forecast that, but pretty close on earnings per share on GAAP net income, though we got there in sort of a different path. Operating margins quite a bit higher than Q1. 4 points, so 70 basis points higher than Q1. Operating income about 40 million higher. Operating expenses slightly lower, which makes sense. I was expecting them to fall a little bit more. But that SG&A, so we'll have to come back to that and see if they talk about that on the call at all. And then we got services and other. I'm happy to see the services margin wasn't as bad. It looks like it still actually improved quarter over quarter, which is pretty exciting because the revenue from services and other was down. So if revenue would have been flat or even slightly up, that may give us an indication that the natural service and other margin is improving. And if that can improve, that's actually a pretty decent chunk of Tesla's business. I mean, what are we looking at? About 8% of total sales there. So to bring that from a negative 20% margin business to flat would be pretty good, and would help with the total operating and net income lines. Total gross profit. So again, we were definitely lower here on natural automotive gross margin. So 18.7% versus last quarter at 20% and my forecast of 20.6%. And to get to my forecast, I basically had Model S and X vehicles at around 20%, Model 3 Fremont vehicles at around 19%, Model Y at around 17%, and then Shanghai, the highest at 21%. So Tesla obviously doesn't break those out. So we just kind of have to do our best guesses. And it seems like I was a little bit high somewhere there. I'm guessing probably Fremont Model 3, because production was lower on Fremont Model 3 this quarter than in the past when Tesla maybe was achieving those 20% margins. And they did also have the price cut during the quarter, so that's important to keep in mind. Though we did have the Panasonic and Tesla contract renegotiation, that should have helped with margins this quarter as well. All right, so I think those are the numbers. Looks like we're at 1,700, so stock's staying pretty stable, kind of interesting. I'm going to flip back to the earnings sheet here. Whoops. Oh, here we are. And I'm just going to scan through here and just make sure we didn't miss anything else interesting. And then I'll probably sign off and we can wait for the calls and maybe do a little bit of question and answer stuff here. I'll read through some of the chats. So Model Y and China-made Model 3 production rates continue to increase. Unsurprising, but good news. Preparations underway for Gigafactory, next Gigafactory, likely in Texas. I'm sure they'll talk a little bit more about that on the call. We continue to drive cost efficiencies across the business and closely manage working capital. That's a good sign, because even though automotive margins were down, Tesla is saying that they still were driving cost efficiencies. So I'm assuming that those margins were down because of shutdown related things. And hopefully in Q3, we sort of move beyond those impacts. Let's see if there's anything else interesting here. Profitability. Our operating profit improved despite challenging circumstances, so kind of what we just talked about there. Positive impacts were from a reduction in employee compensation expense, regulatory credit, and deferred revenue recognition of 48 million. So we were actually pretty close on that, guessing 50 to 100 million. Not too far off. And that means that Tesla still has a ton of deferred revenue sitting there for full self-driving for future features that will make the margins look really crazy. They're really only capturing half of that revenue right now, and all of that flows to the bottom line. So, that's another $1 billion basically in profit that Tesla would have had if they were able to recognize all of that over the last year or so. And then they had $100 million in stock-based compensation. I think I was forecasting an additional $70 million on that. So that's why if we flip back to the to my earnings sheet here and we look at the net income non-GAAP, you can see that the variance between here was a little bit less than what Tesla actually reported. So that's, $345 million versus mine was 280 or so. Doing that math on the fly, but I think that's pretty close. So that stock-based compensation was the bigger driver of that variance, but pretty close with the forecast at least. All right. So average selling prices declined sequentially. I don't think I was forecasting for that because I think I had Model Y mix offsetting that average selling price decline, but I would have to take a look. Improvements in products and manufacturing costs driven by Model Y and China-made Model 3, and improved aftermarket software and connectivity revenue. So that would have been the full self-driving sales discount that Tesla did at the end of the quarter. Had a positive impact on our profitability. So without those, the automotive gross margins actually would have been a little bit lower, unfortunately, because that does fall to that line. Quarter in cash, so 500 million. So they're at 8.6 billion. Oh, free cash flow was negatively impacted by a higher percentage of deliveries occurring toward the end of the quarter compared to prior quarters, as well as an increase in government rebates and regulatory credit receivables, which are paid in a quarter. Okay, so they may have not actually gotten all the cash from the $420 million of regulatory credits, which basically I was forecasting them to receive that cash. Last quarter, they talked about how they hadn't received all the regulatory credit revenue cash. So I'm guessing that's actually a pretty big difference, causing that 800 million swing from my free cash flow forecast to Tesla's actual result. Since vehicle production resumed in about in early May, our days payable outstanding was not impacted as much as initially anticipated. I'll have to think about what that means. I'll get there. Just doesn't click immediately. Okay, so global inventory down to 17 days of supply, still pretty healthy. That is calculated based off of deliveries, though. And obviously deliveries have been negatively impacted. So it's not on production rate or anticipated production rate or anything like that. So with deliveries being artificially brought down in Q1 and Q2 from coronavirus, the days of inventory supply number is going to look a little bit too high. Because once Tesla, increases deliveries by 50 or 100%, if inventory held stagnant, this number, the 17, oh, sorry guys, I'm on the wrong sheet. My bad. So I was just looking at the inventory. So they're at 17 days of supply. If Tesla doubles production, that would get cut in half, all things else being even, or doubles deliveries, I should say. So while it looks pretty decent in comparison to Tesla's historicals, inventory is actually pretty low relative to the deliveries that are going to be happening in Q3 and Q4. So I don't expect huge drawdowns in inventory anymore at this point. But we should be also not needing to necessarily increase inventory all that much towards the end of the quarter, though as production ramps up, the end of the year, though as production ramps up, that will eventually happen. Okay, so interesting here. Quarter over quarter, they actually did continue to install supercharger stations. So 6% growth for stations and connectors, passing 18,000. They added about 1,000 new plugs this quarter. That's pretty good, given the circumstances. Kind of looked through all that stuff. As of Q2, our FSD cars equipped will stop without driver confirmation when it is deemed safe. Ultimately, the necessity for confirmation will be withdrawn completely. Okay, that's something we've talked about. Vehicle software. So more than 8 years since we delivered our first Model S. During that time, we have regularly updated the software to each of our over 1 million vehicles. Feedback, over-the-air updates. Yeah, pretty standard stuff there. All right, energy business. So we should hear a little bit more about this on the call. But Tesla says, although recently launched and still ramping, the Megapack generated a profit for the first time in Q2. So maybe that was dragging down Tesla's margins in Q1. We had a 4% margin on the energy business in Q1, and this quarter I think it jumped up to 6%. So not quite as far as I'd forecast. I thought margin was being dragged down by the solar roof, and it probably was to some extent, but it looks like the Megapack may have been a factor there as well. But it does look like that's helping them grow. So despite the circumstances, they delivered 419 megawatt hours, which is pretty solid. That would be over, if we factor in the impact of coronavirus, probably over a 2 gigawatt hour install annual rate. And then do talk about AutoBidder here. So recently launched the platform in Europe. Okay, so not a whole lot of detail there. All right, so solar, recently we lowered the prices to $1.49, so we've done episodes on that. The average Tesla solar system is now 1/3 less expensive than the industry. Okay, so that's great. That lines up with sort of the analysis that we had done as well, so good to see confirmation of that. The average customer is buying lost my place there. Large system in California, likely offset the system cost with reduce in about 6 years. Okay, so I had done about 8 years break even, but I think California has some state incentives. New pricing is made possible by improvements such as moving to recommending standard sizes. Yep, so production efficiencies, installed efficiencies. Tesla's laser focused on all that stuff. One-click order process, so you're cutting out selling general and administrative costs in the solar business, which are huge for the solar industry. Ooh, and solar roof installations roughly tripled in Q2 compared to Q1. That is really exciting, especially given the, obviously, difficulties I'm sure they had with some installations with quarantining and restrictions. Continue to expand our installation team. Okay, awesome. That's really exciting on solar roof. Introduction, all right, so we kind of talked about that stuff. Trailing 12 months, we achieved GAAP operating margin of just under 5%. We expect our operating margin will continue to grow over time, ultimately reaching industry-leading levels with capacity expansion and localization plans underway. Product, we are continuing to build out Model Y, Tesla Semi. All right, photos, and then we'll kind of wrap this up, and I'll go back to chat for maybe some quick questions. Whew, that's a nice one of Berlin. Render. That doesn't actually look that different right now. That's pretty cool. Obviously with past renders like Gigafactory Nevada, we haven't really seen those end up looking at all like what the original renders looked like, and for good reason. But I just love how this looks. I hope it ends up looking like that someday. It's superficial, but would be nice. All right, and then the numbers we probably don't have to go through too detailed here, or the charts rather. That net income is looking pretty though. Operating cash flow. That's super exciting. I mean, $2.5 billion a quarter, or is this trailing 12 months? Okay, trailing 12 months. But $2.5 billion trailing 12 months. Vehicle deliveries. So that should spike here and continue our little exponential growth path. Financial statements. All right, so we already went through all this stuff. All right, so let's flip back here, and I'm going to take a little bit of a look at your guys' questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. I still do need to do another episode. I think we have, what is it, an hour and a half still until the call? How many people we still got on here? Oh my gosh, 7,000. Sorry. Ugh. I think that's right. I feel really bad that I just fill out my spreadsheet in front of that many people. Yeah, I'll fix the audio. Sorry about that again. This is the first one. It was kind of a spur of the moment decision here. So we'll get that fixed for next time. Hopefully you guys liked the live stream. I wasn't able to follow really all of the questions. Thank you, Patrick, or Patrick, probably pronounced slightly differently, but yeah, it would be awesome to do this with Gally. I think it would be hard for both of us to kind of sort through the earnings at the same time. But maybe we can come up with something where we both do our own thing for the first like 10 or 15 minutes, and then we can do a joint live stream. I'm sure we'll get something figured out. I would love to be able to have just like a live conversation with Gally. I think it would be really fun. SNX refresh. Yeah, I'm sure you guys saw the Electrek article on the Palladium, I think was what it was called. I don't know. I mean, I like Electrek. I think they do a good job, but you guys know I sometimes have issues with some of the headlines, and sometimes the reporting is, I don't know. It's not bad. It's good reporting, and I'm sure their sources are telling them this information, but we do have to remember that last year they did, and maybe even, I don't know, 18 months to 24 months ago, they did have a rumor about a leaked interior refresh for the Model S and X that was supposed to happen in September of 2019, and obviously we're now about a year past that, and we still haven't seen any of that happen. So, I mean, we'll see on Palladium. I think, you know, with Roadrunner, I think Electrek, I don't know if they broke that news, but they did obviously report on it, and we did see that coming to fruition at Cato Road there. So yeah, Palladium will be interesting. Hopefully we'll see some interesting updates on that during Battery Day. S&P 500, yeah, it looks like the inclusion, I mean, I think I tweeted about that. Hopefully that tweet went out, but this should make Tesla eligible. Let me see, I can probably actually make myself bigger here. Well, probably want to keep the stock price. Gotta have the stock price. Yeah, so for, where was I at? S&P 500. Okay, so yes, I think Tesla should now be eligible for the S&P 500 inclusion. So that's, I think we've talked plenty about that. If you haven't seen the videos, I did 2 really deep dives on that. I would expect we'll get an announcement on that sometime in the next few weeks, probably anywhere from 2 to 8. I would guess on the earlier end of that range. Too big. Sorry, guys. Maybe it's too big. Scale it back down a bit. Which S&P 500 companies will come out? I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see. At what price do I buy more? Honestly, any price. I think Tesla's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar company, so 10x growth in 10 years. You can beat that, but with the level of confidence that I have in it, I'm always willing to buy at any price around here. So at what price do you buy more? I'm pretty fully invested, so it really just is about income and when I have cash available to invest, which I've mostly been putting into the business, so investing in myself. But I appreciate that you guys have helped me with that. Hopefully over time this has made that investment worthwhile from you, not from a return on investment like monetarily wise, but from a return on content. I think we keep expanding and growing, and I think the content keeps getting better and better and more in depth, and that's really the goal. I just want to get really good information out there, so I appreciate all the support with that. Do I have Twitter? Yes, on Twitter at Tesla Podcast. How long do I personally think the rally will last? Honestly, I think it's going to be a couple months. I mean, maybe even longer. I don't see any reason for Tesla to really give up strength here over the next 6 months, really. I mean, Q3 should be very strong in terms of production, and Q4 even better. And we're going to see really, really strong numbers. And then we've got Battery Day right in the middle of that. We probably have some product updates, whether it comes out of Battery Day or it's from this, Plaid Model S, things like that. Earnings in 30 minutes. Okay. So yeah, we'll wrap this up somewhat soon. Stock split. I'm going to do an episode on that, I think. Mixed feelings on it, but I think we'll cover that in a full episode. Ever look at Amazon earnings? Yeah, I think it's important to watch the other. Oh, this light is pretty bright here. I think it's important to watch the other big tech companies when they report. So I definitely keep an eye on those things. I have a small stake in Amazon, small stake in Netflix as well. We still have 7,000. Man, you guys are really sticking around. Appreciate it. I'll keep answering some questions here. 100-to-1 stock split, maybe. All right, let me see if I can find these super chats because I don't want to leave those unanswered, but I'm not really sure how to get to them. So bear with me here as I hopefully figure this out. Or maybe not. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. If I can go back and find those super chats, I will. It looks like I can just get a few of these at the top that are still up here. None of which really have questions. When will you be on Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, or CNBC? Whenever they want to have me, I'm open. No invitations yet. When do I think that a $20,000 to $25,000 compact car will come? It's a really good question. Maybe 2023. That seems about right. I think they've got to get through the Semi, the Cybertruck, ramping up Model Y, and 3 factories. There's a lot on the plate, so maybe even 2024. But I think they'll keep driving prices down on Model 3 and Model Y. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Model 3 opening price point dip below 35,000 at some point in the next few years. Maybe in the next, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3. Virgin Galactic stock, I'm actually not super positive on them because of SpaceX competition. I don't know a ton about them, but I do, by circumstance, hold a little bit of stock in it because I invested in Chamath Palihapitiya's IPOA, which was sort of the special purpose acquisition company that brought them public. So I like Chamath. I think he does a really good job. I invited him on the podcast, but he didn't respond to that tweet, unfortunately. Would love to get him on, but I do still have a little bit. It's a very, very small position, but I do have a bit of SPCE. Yeah, SPCE stock. Ticker broke. All right, thanks for the update. Let me try and refresh that. Got 30 minutes. Yeah, we'll probably wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so. 5 to 10 minutes. Potential revenue for the insurance business. Over the long term, it's going to be important. I don't think it's ever going to be a huge portion of Tesla's revenue, but I think they're just going to use that as a way to keep operating and total cost of ownership costs for the vehicles low. Yeah, for the sound question, I'll fix it next time. I apologize for that. Not going to stream the call. When am I buying a Tesla car? I drive almost none. Maybe a mile a week, probably not even that. I live downtown Milwaukee, so I just walk everywhere. It would be more harmful emissions wise for me to purchase a new vehicle that I don't need than to extract the utility out of the current vehicle that I have. If I thought it made sense to switch that from an emission standpoint, I would, but it doesn't, unfortunately, at this point. Maybe if the channel keeps growing, though, we can maybe justify it. I would like to have the ability to play around with the full self-driving and watch that develop. So, as I said at the intro, I do still have my Model 3 reservation from 2016. Should have put that in a Tesla stock. It would be, I think the share price was around 250 then, so I don't know, whatever that is. 6x from where it was. So that $1,000 reservation would be $6,000 today, which would obviously help buy the vehicle, but that's all right. It's a sentimental thing for me to have it at this point. I'm excited to get my short shorts. Hopefully those are shipping. Tesla said 2 to 4 weeks, so I'm waiting. Missed the analysis. Did Tesla do good or bad? Good, in my opinion. They missed in some areas. I would have liked to see the automotive gross margin X credits higher. That was probably the most disappointing number to me, but it was ahead of the street estimates, so still a good report. Come visit Norway. I would love to. I don't think they're letting us Americans in, which makes sense. If Elon said the stock was too high at 800, does he think the stock is way too high now? I don't know. I'd have to go back to my my episode on that at the time. Elon has said that many different times, and he always comes out and says later on that over the long term, the stock price isn't high. It just is accounting for a lot of that future growth, which, I mean, that's what investors do. They try to account for that future growth. Live in Wisconsin too. Delavan, nice. Wisconsin's great. Grew up in Iowa, went to school in Minnesota. Now I live in Wisconsin. Thanks, G Toro. Appreciate it. Post a video on your short shorts. I don't know about that. We'll see. Maybe if there's a certain milestone Tesla hits or something. UK Gigafactory soon? I don't know. I mean, Elon was over there. I think that's probably more related to the energy business. We had similar rumors of a second China Gigafactory in, I'll probably say it wrong, but like Chongqing, something like that. Showing my lack of knowledge on China cities, unfortunately. Go Cyclones. Yeah, my parents both went to Iowa State. Big Cyclones fan. Yep, University of Minnesota, Carlson. Did you get the female short shorts? They are unisex, is my understanding. I tried to add both to my cart because I have some friends that might want some, but they ended up just being the same regardless of whether I added them through the female store or the male store. So I think they're unisex. 4% gain after hours. Looks like we're at 5% now. Does that seem small? It's a little bit surprising to me with 100 million GAAP profit. But again, I think it takes time for the market to really understand how these things play out. 2K in a week. I'm not going to put a price target on it. I'm still bullish short term. I'll leave it at that. Link to the webcast to just be at ir.tesla.com, and then you can find it there. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Nice, Jordan. Minnesota's awesome. Love the U. Miss it. Leaps versus stock and options. I tend not to talk too much about that because I don't really want to encourage people to invest in options. It's very risky and things can go against you pretty quick. Oh, hey, Pranchu. What's going on? Things can go against you pretty quickly. So if you're doing options, you need to be pretty careful. Leaps can, which are long-term options, those can be, more representative of a long-term investment, but you're taking leverage, and that's always riskier. Personally, I have used options, have used leaps, but it is tricky. S&P 500 inclusion 26 million shares. That's my understanding. 4.6 trillion in assets track the fund. Tesla's market cap is around close to 300 billion now. So they'll come in at a weight of about 1%. It's a float adjusted market cap. So we'll have to see what the S&P 500 decides on that. All right, super chat from Fred here. The $10,000 Canadian upgrade price worth $100,000, meaning they would actually increase the price. I'm assuming that's on full self-driving. I don't know if Tesla will ever increase the price to $100,000. I mean, that's the presumed utility that you can get out of an autonomous vehicle. So that's where that pricing concept comes from, and slowly over time they may raise it to that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know if it'll get to $100,000, but it's going to keep going up. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys all. Sorry if I missed your super chats earlier, just trying to digest the earnings as fast as I could. If I find a way to go back and see those, I'll try to, I don't know, maybe tweet the answers or email them if I recognize the names. So sorry about that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully this went well. I'll fix the audio for next time. I'm sorry about that. We'll get it figured out. But at least we made it through. One other thing, guys, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, obviously I just started posting my stuff on thestreet.com. Thank you guys for the super chats. Appreciate it. I'll try to get to that question there. Obviously I just started posting on thestreet.com. Any engagement that you guys can help me with on there, that's really helpful. It's kind of like YouTube. Basically, I'm just putting my content up there, and the more engagement that it has, the better it's going to perform, and the more people are going to see it. So that's sort of the goal. I know I explained that before. But if you guys can help me out with that and either just like or comment or sign up for the community page there, the more engagement that we get over there, the more content that I'll be able to do there. So, and the more they'll involve me in things, and I think that's helpful in helping people understand Tesla. So short little plug for that. But thank you guys so much. I mean, I'm so incredibly grateful. I don't know if that comes through in the podcast. It's it's tough. Obviously it's an edited podcast and things like that, but hopefully you guys can hear it in my voice. I really just appreciate what you guys do, and hopefully you appreciate what I do, and I think we got a good thing going here. So I'm excited. Great report here from Tesla, and yeah, we'll see you for the episode later today. Probably gonna be late. Those take me a while, but yeah, we'll go through everything from the call and have an episode later today. But yeah, I'll see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in.